Bro, I'm planning to cycle to work, or else I'll have to take personal loan to put petrol in car. It's so freaking expensive, man. Bro, buy electric cars. They are very cheap to run, man. Hey, I don't have 30 lakhs and all to spend on an EV. If I have 30 lakhs, first of all, why will I buy an electric vehicle? You'll get for 15 lakhs also nowadays. Tata has launched something and all. Nexon EV, EV Max, everything is there. Nexon EV, my neighbor has. If I buy that, he will think I copied him. Sorry, plan cancel. In which world do you live these days? You don't know what? Mahindra is launching the XUV 4OO EV soon. Dude, I'm scared to go to Mahindra showroom only. They talk about waiting period as though I'm opening some FD there. 2 years, 3 years and all. What is this? Dude, at least go and check out the car, no? Since our dear friend asked you to check out the car in person, we thought, hey, why don't we fly down to Chennai, visit the MSPT, Mahindra's SUV Proven Track, which is a special set of tracks where you can actually check out the car to the fullest potential. And here we are checking out the XUV 4OO EV, which is one of the most important car for the Indian market. How good is this? Stay tuned to find out everything that you want to know about this EV. I'm very particular about having the black color car for the review because black looks the most gorgeous of all the colors that are there in the XUV 4OO without a second thought. But I have a slight concern here. The concern being that this design is familiar to our eyes since a very long time. Since the days we have seen the XUV 300 in picture, that's been like, close to 3-4 years. Okay? So that is something that could have been addressed here. I mean, I genuinely feel that the XUV 4OO EV could have adopted the newer avatar of the XUV 300 facelift that is coming up shortly. But that said, I think this is quite evident here. So talking about the headlamps, you have the typical halogen projector setup which you have seen since a long time, and then halogens for the indicators as well. DRLs are there which are inspired again from its closest sibling there. Moving downwards, the first thing that you instantly notice is there is lots and lots of copper in this car. Again, that is going to be something very polarizing for many people, especially in other shades of blue and white जहाँ पे copper ज़्यादा जमता नहीं है. And again, you have more detailed elements here which looks slightly overdone, but again this black looks really hot in this car without a second thought. Again, of course, you have a front skid plate. The silver part with the black finish looks amazing. But in a nutshell, I think this design could have been slightly toned down. So once you move sideways, your first thing that you realize is there are request sensors here, good enough. There are functional roof rails there. Again, there is copper treatment there. And once you sit down, you are greeted with more and more copper. Not sure how many people are going to like this copper. If you do a bottle test for ground clearance, you'll realize that the ground clearance practically is ample, and in most cases this might not scrape the ground. So talking of alloy wheels in specific, there's 16 inches of alloy wheels here, and the design is very striking. And trust me on that, especially in the black shade, these alloys look very good. And if so much copper wasn't enough, there is more of copper here in the Mahindra's twin peak logo. So moving to the rear of the car, one of the key differentiator of the EV versus the IC counterpart is this gets clear lens tail lamps, and of course there's this logo which is again in copper to ensure that this is an EV. You get rear wiper here, and of course there is this antenna that is popping up from there. I think the antenna could have been slightly shorter, and that said, there are a couple of parking sensors with a neatly integrated reverse camera which is surprisingly good in clarity. And not just that, the camera actually tries to guide you how to reverse your car, which you'll check out shortly when you're talking about it in the interiors of the car. If you aren't happy with the 11 copper elements around the car, I actually counted 1 2 3 4 karke around the car there are 11 copper elements. You will be surprised because on the roof of the car it is like full copper ocean. It is incredibly copper everywhere, and you get a small sunroof which is good enough. It's not mandatory to have panoramic sunroof everywhere in every car possible. Okay, in fact Scorpion में भी panoramic नहीं आता, तो यहाँ पे कहाँ से आएगा? That aside, actually the car looks longer because the car is actually longer by approximately 20 centimeters compared to the XUV 300, which has clearly translated to more space, and that more space is very evident because you can now stuff people inside the boot of the car. I cannot believe this. I can actually accommodate myself inside the boot of the XUV 300 because the boot of the XUV 300 IC was actually very small. Forget about a human being, you couldn't even stuff some body parts of human beings there. But this, I can easily sit and relax. Unbelievable this is. Big thumbs up to Mahindra for actually listening to the consumers and then improvising the boot space, because in that car you barely can stuff anything, and that was one of the reasons why that car wasn't appealed by people. In terms of the boot space. Here things are much better. The practical boot space of this car, आपने तो देख लिया, आप कुछ भी रख सकते हैं यहाँ पे. Big thumbs up there. So another thing to notice, all the XUV 400 EVs get blacked out A, B, C pillars. Black में तो black must जमता है, and then there are ORVMs with indicators here nicely. Are they biker friendly? I don't think so. Biker friendly means if somebody comes and scratches or pushes the mirror here, they tend to fold there. But I don't think they are that category here. They might break off. Be careful there. So the battery pack, which is 39.5 kilowatt hour battery, is not located here. Of course, it's located between the front and the rear axle, somewhere there, to also ensure better center of gravity for this car. And here you have a lot of cooling systems, and of course there are wires in this orange, which means that you need to be very careful when you're dealing with things here. And of course the XUV 400 also claims to have the best in segment heating and cooling efficiency, making it a car which is also IP67 rated in terms of the waterproofing capabilities. But wait, what is the most important part in an EV? How to charge your XUV 400. This is how you do it. There are two options, of course, home charging and DC fast charging. In DC fast charging, 0 to 80% of the charge can be obtained in just 15 minutes flat, which is very good, because especially when you're traveling, it's going to be very important in saving time. And second thing is, in the normal home charging, for a complete 0 to 100% charge, it's going to take approximately 12.5 to 13 hours. I know that is quite some time, but I think if you're leaving it overnight, and if you're doing your office trips from Monday to Friday, and probably if you're charging your car once a week on say Saturday or Sunday, I think that should be good enough. So once you're talking about the interiors of the XUV 400 EV, first thing that you realize is the interiors are very similar to the 300, and I think Mahindra should have actually used this opportunity to improvise on certain things which have been lacking in that car. For example, the infotainment system. Infotainment system right now looks pretty outdated here and even in the XUV 300 as well. And this could have been a golden opportunity for Mahindra to improvise on that particular infotainment system here, because the infotainment system isn't the most responsive of all, and moreover the UI isn't more friendlier in terms of the 2022 standards, especially a couple of years down the lane when this car is not going to get facelift, say in 2024 or something, it's going to look really outdated. And apart from the infotainment system, of course there are other things which are going to for sure remind you of the XUV 300's DNA, and this being an all new product, especially in terms of the powertrain, probably could have been better in terms of the interior design that is there. So that's about the rant that is there from the interiors perspective. So talking about the steering wheel, actually it's very feather light, and I really mate. I haven't seen a lighter steering than this in my entire life, and I think especially in the fearless mode, there is nothing but the sport mode, the steering should have weighed up properly. That's it. The quality is decent enough. It actually is quite grippy in terms of the effort that you have to put in this, and the quality of stacks is decent as well. Nothing home to write about, but could have been slightly better considering the price tag that this car is going to come with over the time. So this is the instrument cluster that is there. You have the power consumption mode on the left, and then on the speedometer on the right. This car maxes out at 159 km per hour. Realistically, that is what we pushed today. And then there's a trip meter here that gives the average speed of the car, the driving time, and of course which particular drive mode the car is currently. The engine start stop is on the left side. I wish it was on the right side for better safety. No wireless charging pad, but that's it. You get a place to keep your phone here, to store your phone, 12-volt charging socket there, USB charging socket here, there's a 3.5mm jack here, plethora of physical buttons. There's a physical button for everything, which is kind of really appreciable here, because it's not going to be distracted when you're driving the car. So the three driving modes: fun, fast and fearless. Fearless is which is going to be similar to the sport and dynamic modes of the other car. Maxes out at 159 km per hour, like I said, and it's actually a good thing, because generally EVs are considered that they're not very enthusiastically driven, but such small changes actually make you quite happy, because that is the remotely closest that you can get to actually experiencing a fast, nice car. So that's about it. Again, a lot of copper elements in the car, but last but not the least, there are two cup holders here, and the shape of these cup holders are not actually circular, and they're quite squarish. That is triggering my OCD. And then manual handbrake in the car, no electronic parking brake, manual handbrake here. And this is the rear center armrest, which is decent enough, not very broad as such, but it is actually quite deep to stuff a lot of things. These are the leather seats that you get in the top variant of the XUV 400 EV. The seats are quite supportive, and Mahindra seats have always been quite supportive no matter what car it is. Especially big fan of the seats of the Scorpio N, and these seats are good as well. Good under thigh support, headroom is abundant, the legroom is good, and everything feels just right in place with a nice blue leather stitching here.
The 17cm odd infotainment system has been in the game for a long time, and apart from the usual media navigation controls, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, it gets the EV statistics mode, which displays crucial parameters like charge time, range left, battery percentage, etc. to name a few.
So once you move to the rear of the car, you're greeted by this net beds here, which actually help you keep your magazines, papers or whatever it is, and then there is a grab handle here. The leather seats are good enough and it's actually quite spacious inside, not very spacious as the bigger SUVs, the proper large scale SUVs, but again should do the job well. But what's actually prominent here is even the third passenger gets the headrest, which is a very good thing, because if the car ends up having a rear-ended collision, neck tends to get snapped like this, and presence of headrest is going to avoid it, which is a very good thing and really appreciated by Mahindra there. That's it. The seating position is kind of actually a bit upright. Would have preferred slightly reclinable angle here, but one thing that if I have to nitpick, one thing is the seats are a little harder. If the seats were softer, it would have been slightly better in terms of the long distance comfort that is there. Surprisingly, no rear AC vents in this car. Actually, the Scorpion doesn't get the third row AC vent, so not very surprising. Actually, no floor hump because there's no purpose of it in an EV. Rear AC vents are actually missing. That should have been provided in this car, and no charging sockets as well. At least one normal USB charging port would have done wonders, because in the entire car right now, as far as I know, there is just one charging port, which isn't enough at all. And we are driving the XUV 4OO EV today across various tracks, namely the high speed test track, the handling track where you can actually check out the handling of the car. There's something called a city track, jahan pe, it's going to simulate the real world conditions of city. And of course there are a couple of other tracks too, which we will go through shortly. So we're starting off with the high speed track. What a way to start the day. This is the high speed track, and this banking is right now approximately 25 degrees. There is a banking up to 46 degrees there, which means that we can restrict the speed of the car only to 120 km/h during the banking to ensure that the car is safe, because it's going to be a problem if you overspeed when the banking is very severe. As you can see, the car is completely banked, not extremely. We'll go there during the next course of the time, but right now we are sticking here. So we are slotted into the fearless mode right now, where you can stretch up to 160 kmph. Right now it's doing 150 kmph, 153 as I speak, 155. So this is it. This is 158 right now, and the car feels stable, very stable. 159. Come on, one more kilometer to go. I think we'll have to slow down. It's not going to go 160. There's banking again, which means that you'll have to slow down again, because going way too fast in banking isn't recommended. And this is a very crazy experience. The last time I was here, I was in the XUV 4OO, and I actually took the car to the 4th lane there. That was something astonishing, mind-blowing. But yes, talking about the XUV 4OO EV's dynamics, the steering feels pretty solid when you're doing high speeds in the banking there. So right now it's 148. I want to do a couple of handlings, high speed handlings. Matlab, as you can see, no traffic, so I can do whatever we want right now as long as we are safe. So the steering is actually good, but could have weighed better, because 150 is you're going to max out the EV, and 150 pe it doesn't feel very heavy. I mean, if that was there, that would be much better. So talking about the torque of this car, the max torque is achieved starting from 25 RPM itself. You don't have to wait for thousands of RPMs to extract the max torque. That makes this car one of the quickest cars on sale right now. In fact, 0 to 100 is 8.4 seconds, which makes it the fastest Indian car in the market right now. In 2022, this is the car which sprints to 100 the fastest when you're talking completely made in India indigenous cars, which means, Maruti, Tata, Mahindra and a couple of others. So talking about the braking, I don't think it's right to check out the braking right now, but yes, we don't see any cars behind us, so I'll be braking the car. But again, I see a car in the rear view mirror. Talking about the rear view mirror, there's no auto dimming IRVM here. It's a normal rear view mirror. Of course, this being an EV, you really do not get different gears as such. So from that perspective, I mean, it's just lightning smooth. You don't even realize that, the car is progressively shifting. There's no lag. I mean, all that dust doesn't exist in an EV. Probably that's where EVs are going to be triumphed. A big shout out to Mahindra for actually having us over here to test the EV in its truest potential. So another thing that I want to point out about XUV 4OO EV is this car gets the best in segment forward and sideward visibility. This is something that I've seen for the first time ever, where a manufacturer is talking about the forward visibility of the car. It's approximately 43 degrees or something, and I can completely see the bonnet here. So this is the handling test of the car. This is the handling track. It's a newly laid out track by Mahindra here to check out the handling capabilities of their various cars. अगर आपको Scorpio का body roll check करना तो यहाँ पे लेके आ जाइए, and you can get to know everything about the Scorpio N, which was famous for body roll. Okay, so talking about the XUV 4OO, very excited to check out the handling of this car. This being an EV. Did you hear that? So basically, the handling of this car is actually decent, but the thing is there is room for some improvement, mainly from the steering feedback perspective, because what is happening right now is, although the car is trying its best to handle to its best of its abilities, what is happening is the steering is actually quite light, and in spite of this car being in the fearless mode, which is nothing but the dynamic or sport mode. So what is happening is it's not inspiring a lot of confidence when you're turning this car a lot. I know that most of you might buy the EVs for your daily commutes, for transportation from point A to B, etc. and all that, but it's my job to give you the true perspective of this EV in worst of the situations. So that's about it from the handling perspective, but that aside, this car literally sprints to glory because of the instantaneous torque. So this is a city track where we are actually testing out various capabilities of the car in the real world city conditions. For example, we want to check out how will the car perform when there are a lot of speed humps and signals and all that. So that is a signal, this is a speed hump, and let's check out how does the car perform here. This is a small rumble strip, so it's fine. It isn't much of a problem as such, but let's check out how does the car perform in slightly bigger speed breakers. So there's a bigger speed breaker here, and the speed is around 20-ish, and it's quite evident that the car is trying to push you off from the seat. But that said, in most conditions, it's good enough for you to be comfortable. I mean, off late, Mahindra has been working really hard on the ride qualities of the car, and in this, the 300, especially from the Scorpio N and XUV 7OO, we saw that the ride qualities have been considerably improving. And the same thing is evident here. It's improved now, but just that, yes, when you get ambitious with bigger speed breakers, it tries to throw you out of the seat.
To manage the additional weight of the battery and ensure ride quality is refined, Mahindra has equipped the XUV 4OO with MTVCL and frequency dependent damping to its suspension setup. These mechanical changes have actually translated to better on-road dynamics of the car. Its single pedal driving mode, the lively mode, allows for a seamless and effortless driving experience in heavy traffic, like the city of Nama Bengaluru, where you can actually use only the accelerator input and release it to slow the car down, reducing the dependency on the brake pedal. The car has also been rigorously tested under extreme weather conditions ranging from plus 47 degrees centigrade in Jaisalmer to minus 20 degrees in South Korea. The XUV 4OO has a head-on advantage over the Tata Nexon in terms of every single dimension, including the wheelbase. The fact that this EV also promises better acceleration and range than the closest rival is something that could be the party trick for Mahindra. To add to it, the motor specs are better rated at 147 bhp and 310 Nm of torque. Even the boot capacity is the highest in its segment at 378 liters. Let that sink in.
All the fancy stuff and all the fancy features aside, let's address the most important question of the day. What is the running cost of this car? How much is going to actually cost you to run the XUV 4OO EV? Let's take out the calculator. Now first things first, the battery pack of this car is 39.5 kilowatt-hour, and let's round it up to 40 for simpler calculations. Assuming that they're going to be a power loss of 0.2, the power factor loss of 0.2, it's going to consume 50 units of electricity. That's 40 by 0.8. Now for these 50 units of electricity, how much do you need? Assuming that you're staying in a metropolitan city like Bangalore or Mumbai, and it would cost around 7 to 8 rupees per unit of electricity. Let's take 8 rupees for the worst case standards. So 50 units of electricity into 8 rupees is nothing but 400 rupees for a full charge from 0 to 100%. And in that 400 rupees, how much do you travel? Although Mahindra claims that you can travel 456 kilometers, it is never going to happen practically. Worst to worst case, you will be able to travel 250 kilometers in this car. So now you'll have to divide this 400 rupees by this. that is 250, which is translating to 1.6 rupees per kilometer. That is the running cost of your car. And now one small important thing is, this car is going to cost you approximately 20 lakhs, just an assumption. And the XUV 300 is going to cost you somewhere around 16 lakh rupees. Now there's a difference of 4 lakh rupees. If you see the per kilometer cost of both these cars, this is 1.6 rupees, whereas that is going to cost somewhere around 6 rupees, assuming a mileage of 15 km per liter in that car. So that is at 6 rupees, this is as 1.6 rupees. So that is at 6 rupees and this is at 1.6 rupees. So basically, the extra 4 lakh rupees that you're spending on this car, when will you recover that? So if you do the basic calculations and divide 4 lakh rupees by this difference, which is 4.4, it will tell you that you will have to drive this car for 90,000 kilometers to break even, to recover the extra amount you have spent on this car. Of course, there are many factors that come into picture, but this is just a summary. This is going to cost you 1.6 rupees per kilometer of driving if you use the normal home charger, and the break-even of this car, the EV, is going to be at 90,000 kilometers versus the ICE counterpart. I know that's a lot of GAN, a lot of mathematics, but I think that's very important when you actually want to live with an every day. If you guys like the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram. Take care and drive safe.